please. And then I'm going to hit go live now and then count three. Um, I'm hitting now.
Welcome to Diva's Two Cents, where we take complicated matters every week and we break them down for the masses. Today, I have an interesting topic. It's all about crypto in an IRA, in a Roth IRA, and why crypto? Well, we'll talk a little bit more about why crypto and what the heck is crypto, and do we even need to buy crypto? I don't know. I'll let you decide. If you're coming on, and I'm giving you a few seconds for you to come on, I have a special guest today. Her name is Terri Peters. I am Diva Mejias. I'm certified tax advisor that brings you Diva's Two Cents. Introducing Terri Peters from Tax Time Ledgers today. And I want you to give her a great welcome. And I also, if there's anything that she says today that resonates with you, please share it so that others can benefit from it as well. So, Terri, how are you?
Hi, Diva. I am great. And I love being on your show because there's so many people that want to learn these little tidbits, and where do you go find them except for people like us? I mean, we're tax strategists, we're business advisors, we're pretty well rounded, and we're out here to share this knowledge that we've been able to put together. And I love being on the show because you just make it so easy to talk about these things.
Yeah, well, the question has come up so often. And, you and I just both came back from Orange County, California, from the Tax and Legal Conference, 360 Conference, where I actually spoke on the topic of Roth IRA. So this was perfect when people started asking about crypto, including myself talking to you about crypto at the conference. So Terri, for the audiences, what the heck is what's crypto and what's Bitcoin? I mean, what is it? What is the Bitcoin?
Well, it's one of those things all those young ones do, and us older ones are sitting there going, what the heck is it? Is it good? Is it bad? You hear all these bad stories, but I'll tell you, I've got clients that are very invested in crypto, and they're professional engineers. They're people that are numbers people, and they get it, and they believe in it, and they're investing millions of dollars into their crypto investments. And so it makes you think, they're that smart and they're doing these things, and I'm watching them with the gains that they're making. I need to be in it. And so crypto is really, when you have money, like our money, our U.S. dollar, our petrodollar, it's pegged on, selling oil, and there's really nothing backing it. It's supposed to be gold backing it, but it really isn't that way. And unfortunately, that's why we have the prices we have, because our dollar really is not valued with much. But when you look at crypto, people are buying the crypto. There's a limited supply. Like Bitcoin, there's only so many coins that are available to buy, and so it's a limited resource, and a limited resource is worth money. And the thing about crypto is, you hear these blockchain things, and so every time a transaction happens, it adds on an extra little piece. It's like doing when you would take I don't know. Flowers, and you would take the stems, you'd make a little ring, and you'd add another little ring, and another little ring, another little ring, and eventually you have a little necklace. Well, it's the same thing. It's the same concept. This transaction happened, so it's verified. That's what the miners are. Have you heard of mining in crypto? The miners are going and verifying every little transaction. So everything is related. And so that the information that you're getting, the value that you get, is real value. And so it can be stolen if you're not protective, because you have to have certain passwords, and it's on the internet, and so there's things you can do to protect yourself. But I'm not afraid anymore. I co-taught with Mark Kohler at the Crypto Tax Summit, and we were doing the crypto Roth. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do the crypto Roth, I'm going to have to get into this crypto thing. So I set up my crypto Roth account with directed IRA, and you should have a link actually in the chat for my affiliate fee, so you can actually go in there directly to my site and be able to set up these accounts. And when I set it up, I put $1,000 in there, and I was like, okay, I'm going to buy Bitcoin, and I got like 3 or 4 different types. I didn't know what to get. I watched a few things on YouTube of the people that are making a lot of money, and they're like, here's my top 10, and I figured out which top 10s that people were using. I picked 5, and so I bought them. And my account almost doubled just in that short little time, like from last year to this year. So I threw a little bit more in recently just because I thought, well, I'm going to throw a little bit more in Bitcoin. Now, there's people that really trade a lot. I'm just delving, but I understand it from a tax perspective. I understand it from, how to report gains and losses. I understand how to set up my account and how to pick the coins. I just don't know, like, what's the next one to get. Like there's so many different coins, and I just don't understand that part. And I think that comes from people that are really in it and studying it and going on these podcasts and listening to TED Talks and all different things so they can learn about the different types of crypto. But I'm sticking with the big ones, and I'm going to walk you through how to do that, Diva. So when we're done with this call or this podcast, I'm going to show you how to set up your crypto account.
Yeah, okay, here goes. Look, I got a message right now from someone telling me, okay, you're talking crypto, you're way over my head. Exactly what is crypto? So hold on one second. I'm going to show them over here. I don't know if you can see my little chicken scratch here, but crypto is really a digital representation of value that functions as a medium of exchange, a unit of account, or store of value. Okay, so that's what the crypto is. For Esther, who's just asking, that it's not issued by the government or any central bank. Okay, just to let you know, it operates on a decentralized networks such as blockchains, and you just mentioned blockchains, right? Which is a secure distributed ledgers that record every transaction that you actually do. So that's what crypto is really considered. We call it crypto, but it's cryptocurrency. So that's what Terry's talking about. And then she mentioned Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is an example, right? And Terry, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I just wanted to, let me see if I could grab this one as well. Bitcoin is the example. Started in 2009. The creator or the group known as Satoshi Nakamoto. I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Nakamoto.
Okay. That was the first block mined in 2009. So Terry is absolutely right. It's 2009, and here it is now that we're talking about getting some crypto into our retirement accounts. So that's interesting. So Terry, is it a real? What is it? Is it a real? There's a question here. Is crypto a real investment?
Yes, it is. So all right. So here's how Bitcoin's a great example because it's worth like $110,000 for one coin right now, and you don't have to buy one coin. People are like, well, I can't buy crypto because I don't have enough money. I said, I put $1,000 in. I have a tiny little bit, a little sliver of Bitcoin, but as it goes up, if it goes up to $1 million for one coin, I've got that little slice of $1 million. So it's a matter of you're trying to buy it when it's low, and then you hold on to it, and then you can sell it when it's high. You have gains and losses. It's just like regular stock, except that it's not stock, it's cryptocurrency. But what a lot of people are doing now that have Bitcoin especially is they leverage it. And what that means is, say you have, I don't know, $500,000 in Bitcoin. You can actually go to a company that it's kind of like a pawn shop. So you could say, I want to get $100,000 of cash so that you can pull that out and do something else with it, invest it in something else. And so that company will say, okay, you need to give me this much Bitcoin. And so you can transfer the Bitcoin into an account that this person holds on to. They have custody of it, but it's really your crypto. You don't sell it. They're just going to hold on to it. And they're going to say, I'm going to give you 50% of that value. And so they'll give you, that value, the $100,000 cash. You can take it and you can go do whatever you want with it, invest it in another type of crypto. You can take it out and go shopping, go on a nice vacation. You can do whatever you want. But in a year, you have to pay back that loan that you took, that $100,000 plus interest.
Okay.
And so the goal is, and for investment purposes, say you're paying 13% on interest on that loan, but if you can invest it in crypto and you can make 20%, you've got that 7% difference, and that's money you're making. You're using somebody else's money to be able to invest and make money. You get that little spread there.
A little leverage. You got leverage. Yeah, you got leverage.
I know, it's amazing. I have clients that are doing that, and I never even knew you could do that. But then you can still hold your crypto, You don't lose having that crypto. You're not having a taxable event by selling it and having a big old capital gain either. You're just using it to leverage to go be able to do other investments. So it's a total investment strategy. It sounds a little scary because we're used to going to the bank or going to Fidelity or whatever and trading stocks. And it's just at a different level. And actually, people are making a ton of money doing it.
Okay, so why use a Roth to buy your crypto? Like, why would you want to do that?
Well, my favorite thing about the Roth is when you put money in your Roth and you invest in anything, whether it's crypto, buying a rental property, doing, first note mortgages, money lending, any of that stuff, anything that you earn stays in your Roth account and you never pay tax on it. When you're 59 and a half, you got to flip an ATM machine there. You can just pull it much out as you want. You never have to pay tax on it, on what you put in or what the earnings are. So it's the same thing with crypto as it is with anything else. And also, with crypto, the problem that I find as a tax professional is that, people are buying and selling and trading, and it just goes so fast that you can have tons of transactions, to put on a return. We have the 8949 on the capital Schedule D, the capital gain schedule, and you could just have so many transactions that are crazy because it's out of a retirement account. But if you do it in the retirement account, you don't have to report that anywhere. So you can go all over the place. You can go back and forth. You can trade, you can buy, you can sell, and there's no transactions that you have to report as long as it stays in your retirement account.
Yeah, so for the audience, many years ago, a couple of years ago, when the IRS wanted to, and remember, the IRS is not the boogeyman, so learn the rules, and then you can beat the IRS in their own game. So a couple of years ago, the IRS started putting that one little sentence in between your name, and I think it was just before the dependents, and then 1 year was after the dependents. There's one little line that said, do you deal in digital currency or digital assets? They changed the words every year. They would change it. First it was, are you aware of it? Then it was, do you use it? Do you do it? Whatever. Are you actually selling it? Right.
Yeah.
And the reason being because it's not dollars, it's not currency, it's considered property. That's why you put it on a Schedule D. That's why you put when you have that transaction, you have capital gains because it's property. It's like stock. So if you are in that crypto world, don't check no on that line, because once you do that, you're telling the government that you're not dealing in crypto, you're not selling crypto, you're signing the return, and then when you do that, trust me, they know, right, Terri? They know because the institutions have to report that information. So once you do that, now you have signed a fraudulent tax return, and you don't want to do that.
Exactly, and I think that sometimes people just don't quite understand. They might buy it and hold it, and so my thing is, there's so many different places that you can, like wallets that you can put things in. I use Coinly. So I have my clients, if they're doing crypto, I always say, I didn't sell anything this year. I said, that's okay. Just go to Coinly, put in your accounts, and let's just get an 89.49. Let's just see. And almost 100% of the time, probably 99.9% of the time, there's some kind of transaction on there because they don't realize, they might have sold this and moved it over to another. Because you don't have to sell it and take the money out. You can just say, like, I bought Bitcoin and Ethereum, so I sold some Bitcoin and bought Ethereum, or I sold Ethereum and bought Bitcoin. And so that transaction is a sale and a purchase, and that gets recorded. So a lot of people don't realize they're having transactions in crypto, but they are. But the nice thing about crypto is it's becoming more and more normal to be investing in crypto. And so now some stores you can do, like, I don't take it now, but I will in the future. You can actually take crypto in exchange for your invoice. I invoice someone $1,000 and they can send me, $1,000 worth of crypto. And, then I would put that in my wallet and change it into cash and take it out. Because you have to pay tax on those kind of exchanges. But people are buying and selling different services. They're buying and selling properties. They're buying and selling a lot of different things with crypto. So we have to learn it. It's like when the computers came out. And us old fogies were like, oh, we don't need that. Or then when email, oh, I'm not going to do email. Then email is a big thing. And then I'm going online. I'm never going to go online, but we're online. So we got to learn crypto.
Right,
It's what it
right.
is.
And I always said, well, I don't want crypto in my Roth IRA. Well, now guess what? Guess what I'm doing? Because like, you need to understand it. And for those of you out there, when you go to a tax professional, go to someone that understands, that's actually doing what it is that you're doing, so that they have already gone through that learning curve so that they can teach you. Don't go to someone that's going to be learning it as on your dime, in other words. But you mentioned Bitcoin, because there's Ethereum, right? Stablecoin, altcoins, tokens, the NFTs, which is a non-fungible tokens. So you just stick with Bitcoin, right?
Well, I'll just tell you, I have Bitcoin, I have Ethereum, I have
Okay.
XRP, I have
Okay.
XLM, I have
Okay.
Curve.
Okay.
Those are the five that I keep it in.
Okay.
I want to get Litecoin.
Okay.
My virtual assistant, he's young and he's into certain ones, and I'm like, okay, maybe I need to start buying some of that. But there are people that do this all the time, and they'll do totally different coins.
Okay.
Me, I'm old school, so I'm just trying to, I want to be able to walk the talk. And
That's
so,
right.
and like I said, my money's almost doubled, and I only put in a little bit in.
That's
So,
right.
and the reason I just want to back up to why we want it in a Roth, because I have seen back in probably 2016, 2017, I was working with a firm that people were just starting to, crypto was just becoming a thing, and they were like, okay, so we sold it, we made $200,000. I'm like, what? I don't understand. What did you buy? Well, I don't know. My husband bought a bunch of stuff. You put like $20 in, and now it's worth $200,000. And so then they'd have to pay tax on all that, because you've got that $180,000 gain. And so, or actually $20.
20. Yeah.
Actually, you have almost a $200,000 gain, whatever, 980. So, and they had to pay tax on it. And I thought, what the heck is this stuff? And I thought, well, there's no way, I'm already too late, because nothing's worth that kind of money now, all the pennies. But there's still good coins that you can get into that are very low value. Bitcoin is very high value, but I still want to have it just because I want to. I have FOMO. I have the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I just think that there's different reasons, but the thing is if they put that in the Roth and then they sold it, they would not pay a dime in that $199,980 gain they have.
So listen up, everyone. Yeah, listen up, everyone. You don't want to pay any more tax than you have to. This is a way that you can.
What happened? We know what they do with our taxes. So no, let's not. That's spending money. When we pay taxes, that's spending money, because, and this is what I tell my clients. You want to know about spending money? You spend money by paying your taxes, because once you write that check, it's done. It's gone. But when you want to do your retirement accounts, well, I don't have money to spend on that. I said, yes, you do, because you're not spending it. You're just laterally moving it over to this other area and then investing it and letting it grow. And then when you retire, it's there. So it's almost like you're protecting yourself. It's almost like an insurance policy for later. You're taking it from now, instead of spending it on, a Lamborghini or, even some nice luggage or, a spa day. You get an extra couple $100, throw it into your Roth and invest it. And so to me, that's what we have never been taught to do. We're taught to do things differently. But the young ones that are really doing great things, and they're making millions of dollars in their 20s and 30s, it's because they're not thinking like we are. We're old school, and we need to be able to catch up with them. So the Roth is the perfect vehicle. I mean, I do a lot of work with directed IRA because I love the fact that I understand the power of not paying taxes and being able to roll those capital gains and that interest and those dividends, and just keeps growing and growing and growing. And we'll do this on another show, Diva, where we could talk about all the cool things you can do.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Because what I tell my clients is, you have your retirement funds, and you go ahead and you put this money in a retirement fund. So what you're really doing is this: you're getting into a vehicle. You have your little bag of your money, and you're letting someone else put it in the trunk. You sit in the back seat, and somebody else drives that vehicle. So they're guiding where your money is going. I don't want my clients to do that. I want my clients to get rid of that middleman, get in that driver's seat. Take that money and self-direct it themselves. I mean, you and I know people that buy cows in their Roth, in their self-directed IRA.
HSA.
In the
Yeah.
HSA, in the HSA.
Yeah.
So that's a different. As a matter of fact, for those of you that want other kind of strategies, there is the health savings account. That's a triple. You save money three ways. Put it in,
Mhm.
right? Tax free. You use it
Right.
tax free, and it grows tax free. For goodness sakes, there's so many
Exactly.
ways to avoid paying taxes. You just have to know the rules. It's like playing chess. I keep telling everyone, you're playing chess, learn the rules. Now, those who know the rules are the ones that win. There's no need for you to give the IRS any money whatsoever. I mean, really. Let me get
No,
off
if
that
you play it
bandwagon.
right. Well, that's why, Diva, that's why you and I invested in the Main Street Certified Tax Advisory Program. Because Mark Kohler, as smart as he is, you'll see him all over, YouTube. He's an amazing guy. I know him personally, you know him personally. And what he has done is, yes, he has all these ideas. He's a tax attorney and he's a CPA. He had, he did taxes, and now he has an entire tax firm, and all the attorneys have taken the program. They
This is
teach
interesting
Mark
to
Kohler.
be able to talk to them, right? It's very interesting when you take individuals, because this is not taught in school, guys. Beating the IRS at their own game is not taught in school. And I have a master's degree. I mean, this is just not taught. You're taught to pay whatever number comes out on your tax return. But we don't do that. And I know that you meet with your clients quarterly, you meet with some clients monthly. But you have to look at this stuff as it goes on. You can't do it after the fact. You can't wait till next April 15th to say I should have, I could have, I would have done something with Bitcoin last year. And even though Terri Peters got on and Diva got on and told us, consider this. Now, we're not attorneys, okay? Please do your due diligence. For all of you, do your due diligence, because just as we're talking about these tax strategies with Bitcoin, there are also a lot of scams out there with Bitcoin. So you have to be very, very careful of what you do with your dollars, especially if you're going to use retirement dollars, because at the end of the game, think about it. You're gonna pull that money out when you need it the most, when you're a little older, and you don't want to gamble with your money. I believe that you play the game, but you know the rules so you don't lose. What do you think?
Oh, I think that's great. And there's one of the reasons that I did the crypto Roth through directed IRA is because it's super easy.
Mm-hmm.
You set up your account, and with that account, they automatically set you up with a Gemini account. And a Gemini is an exchange. That's what an exchange is, where you buy and sell. There's Coinbase is another one, and so that's very popular. And all these like younger guys, they've got 50,000 other choices. But I mean, I'm going to go old school, Coinbase, or Gemini. But all right. So just for an example, I opened my account at Directed IRA, put $1,000 in it, and in a few days, I had the money came out of my bank account. The money went into my account at Directed IRA, and then a couple days later, my Gemini account was set up. They automatically set it up for me, and there was my $1,000 sitting in a USDC, which is a US, it's US dollars really, but it's a coin. It's a digital coin, US digital coin. So it's a 1-to-1. It doesn't go up and down. It stays at a dollar for a dollar. And so my $1,000 was sitting in there. I'm like, okay, so now how do I buy Bitcoin? So I saw this thing for buy. So I clicked that box, and so it knew that it was going to take the money from my dollars, my $1,000, and my USDC, and it automatically moved the percentage that I wanted, that I put into Bitcoin, and then I put into Ethereum, and then I put into Curve, and I split it by 5. I did 20% in 5 things, and then as I was watching it move, then I was seeing what was doing more than the other ones. So then I was like getting rid of this one and moving it up to this one, and just futzing around, and so now I've got it honed down to just a few. But I thought it was the easiest thing, and I don't have to worry about it. It's just in there, and I'll never have to report my taxes. And then, another few years as it continues to grow, and I keep putting money in, I can pull the money out of there. It's not going to take. I will not be paying taxes on any of it because it's in a Roth. Now, if you put it in a traditional account, you can still self-direct a traditional account. And so I put the money in, and I get a tax deduction when I put it in. It does the exact same thing. It grows and does its thing. You can move back and forth. It doesn't get reported on your return. But then when I pull the money out, then I'm taxed on everything that I had in there, including the earnings. So
Right.
I always say, I would rather not pay taxes. I'd rather not get a reduction in taxes today. And then, so I don't have to pay tax later. I would, and pay my tax later because I'm in lower tax bracket. No, because if I'm investing it right, it's going to grow a ton. It's going to grow a lot more than what I'm going to save this year in that tax. So I'd rather, instead of saving, 5 or 6,000, I would expect over the next 10 years my stuff's going to grow more than 5 or 6,000. And so I would much rather just put it in that. That's just my, my thing. There are times that you want to do the traditional and have the deferred compensation kind of thing, but
Yeah.
I really very rarely see that as a recommendation I would do. And yes, you, just for a disclaimer, we are not financial
Attorneys
investors.
and stuff, right? No, I get it. But you
Right.
know what I was gonna say? You know what I was gonna say? I do have clients that I tell them. I mean, if they're so stuck up on that, they don't want to give up their 401k, because there are backdoor Roth IRAs that you can set up. So what I do is I try to get a balance and say, okay, well, let's come to a point. Let's think in the future when you need this money, and if, let's say, you needed $1,000, so then let's have a mix of both. Take out $500 from the Roth that you don't have to pay taxes on, and then take the other $500 on the on the 401k that you have to pay taxes on. So there's not one size fits all, Terry, right? Not one size fits all.
I see clients that actually do that. They split it between the two, because a good retirement plan, a good 401k, will have a traditional bucket, they'll have a Roth bucket, and then, of course, we got the mega backdoor where you would have the after-tax contribution, which is for a whole other show.
Yeah.
But these are the things that,
Yeah.
people that are savvy and are willing to sacrifice spending today to put money away and let it grow tax-free tomorrow. These are the types of things that they're doing. This is what the rich people are doing that we're bringing to the average Main Street person. Because,
Right.
like you said, we're not taught this in school. I never even was taught this when I worked for all the other tax firms.
Yeah.
I worked with Deloitte and Touche for a point, and we weren't doing any of these strategies when I was working for them.
And you know
So
what?
it's
I laugh. I laugh at that. I really do. When people say, well, why isn't this taught in school? Terry, why isn't this? This should be taught in middle school. Forget
because
high
it's a red
school.
flag. It's a red flag because everyone's afraid of the IRS. And if you're doing the right thing and you have working with somebody who's not fraudulent, somebody who actually knows how to cross their T's and dot their I's, we're doing these things. But a lot of tax people, they're just churning out tax returns. It's all about, let me take these numbers, put it in, give you your return, move on. They don't even want to talk to you. And that's not what we are. We are strategists.
Right.
We are looking at the picture. We're empowering our clients with opportunities. Now, I have clients that I explain 10 different things that they could be doing, and they might choose to do none. They might choose to do one. But it's up to them. But I want to empower my clients with options. And then I also want to introduce them to people that are experts in those fields. Like when I do oil and gas strategies, or I do mineral rights or things like that, I'll introduce them to the director of customer service and sales for the company that I like to refer to. And I'll say, just get on a call with them. Ask them all your questions. Fly up and meet them. Talk to them. So there's things that we can be doing. Crypto is a little different. We can't go fly over to some mine place and watch them literally mining crypto. It's all done on computers, and it's a whole different thing. But
That's my next one. My next one is, and maybe you and I can experiment with the oil and gas.
No, I am. I'm already doing
oil and gas.
Clients that are, I can't wait to look at the K1s. I actually made an appointment. I'm going to fly up. You know how we were at 360 and Mark Kohler was flying around looking at the fields and stuff? Well, I'll be doing that this summer with two of my clients.
Yeah.
And we're trying to decide on a date, because I want them to see this is what it's doing, and I want to see, because I'm teaching that to clients. And so and you can get in for, you don't have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars to get in. And if you were just doing a Roth, it's $7,000 a year. In 5 years, you could more than have the minimum to put into royalties for mineral, oil and gas royalties, for the mineral rights.
Yeah.
And people don't think about that. Or you can set up an LLC and have all your kids and you all put in
that's right.
partners, and then use that one number that everybody's putting in $5,000 each, and then you can use that to go with the big chunk to go make an investment. But that's what we're trying to teach you guys. And Diva, that's why I love your show, because you're taking the time to educate all of us on ways that we can, save money and be able to plant our financial garden. Planting the financial garden takes discipline. If you plant any garden, it takes discipline. You got to go in there. You got to fix up all the soil. Then you got to go get the seeds in there, and then you got to sit there and pull all the freaking weeds. Who wants to do that? But you got to do it. But then once all the vegetables start growing, and you can start picking at night before dinner and picking all your lettuce and your peppers and your whatever, and make your salad, and you're eating it, and you know that it's because you fed that. You are the one who put the fertilizer on it. You're the one that watered it every day. You're the one that talked to it while you're cleaning it up and giving it good energy. And now you get to enjoy it as living food into your body. It's the same thing with our investments. If we could sit there and talk to our money and say, I'm going to give you a job. Thank you, God, for letting me be able to make this money. Now, how can I do that? There's a whole story in the Bible about, the coin. And he doesn't want you to stick it underneath the pillow and just leave it there. He wants you to invest it. Not waste it, but invest it. So, when you can find ways to plant that money that you're working so hard for, it's basically you're paying yourself. And you plant that into your garden. There might be a crypto garden. There might be a mineral rights garden. There might be, private money lending garden. There might be a fidelity account garden. All these little things that you can actually do and put your money in and let it grow. And it's out of your hands here, so you're not wasting it. It's over here growing. And if you can look at your accounts at the end of the year and say, okay, I started with this and now I'm here.
Yeah.
Come on, that just feels so good, because that's just being a mature, responsible adult, and that's taking care of yourself. That's being responsible. But we're not taught that, because it's
No.
easier for us to get into debt, run up our credit cards, and who gets to make money on that? The banks, because they get all that interest, and we lose. So, I know I'm preaching to the choir, because
I know.
so many people know that's how it is. But how do you stop yourself?
Well, you see, when I taught the Roth IRA, I did put up a little tree that Nick had drawn for me, a little money tree, because Terri, I didn't come from money. I was very, very poor when I was younger. But I learned at an early age that numbers tell stories, and what story those numbers were going to tell my family for generational wealth. I needed to go out and get that education, and that's why I'm so hung up on bringing this information out to the public, because it's not one size fits all. It isn't. But it's not fair that only some and the selected few. And to me, in the past, I used to call it the old boys network. They're the only ones that know how to do all this stuff. Well, no, the short the short woman can do it too. Everybody can do this. So you've really got to learn the game, pull out. And it's just so sad, because even if you go out to the store, and I'll give you an example. Father's Day is coming soon. There's a lot of fathers out there that are going to get tools as presents. They're going to open up their toolbox. They're going to take that sheet of paper that it's in there, that are the instructions, right? They're going to toss it to the side, and they're going to play around with this tool to put it together. And after like an hour, they're going to realize, oh, I need those instructions. Well, what you and I are doing here is saying, hey, don't, learn the rules first. Learn them first, experiment, start small. You don't have to start big with Bitcoin. You don't have to. You can start small and then let it grow. For what? For generational wealth, so that you can where money will no longer be a concern, right? Where you don't have to worry, where your family doesn't have to worry. The children, the generational wealth for those children, for their education. There's just so much, Terri. There's just so much. Now, Terri, you have a place, an affiliate code, right? You have an affiliate code for your.
It should be in the chat I sent to you. And
Okay,
so when you
it should be in there.
if you want to set up an account with directed IRA, what you'll do is just click on my affiliate code. There's a link. There's actually a link. So click that link, and that'll have my Terri Peters tax time ledger, so you'll know that you're in the right place.
Yep.
And I have this flamingo because I love flamingos, and I'm in Naples, Florida. So it's like that's my logo. And so you'll know you're in the right spot. And at that point, you can actually schedule a call. You don't even have to do it yourself. You can schedule a call, and it's free. And you'll get on their calendar, and then you meet them on the call. It'll be people at Directed IRA, and you can say, all right, I'm ready to set up my crypto Roth, or whatever, your regular Roth, or whatever kind of account you want to have.
Yeah.
And they'll be happy to help you walk through that and help you be able to set it up, what the name is, and how to, get up your bank account information, how to get the money in there, and they'll explain the whole process to you. I mean, that's what I like about directed IRA. These guys give you, one-on-one attention and will take you by the hand and lead you through there, and you're going to feel so good when you do it, because now then you can get the app. I have the app, and I look at my Gemini app. I'm like, oh my gosh, I only put 1,000 in. It's already at 1,800. And so then all of a sudden the next day I'm like, oh, it's down to 16. Oh, wait, that's okay. It's still ahead, and back and forth like that. And so it's just kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it's just, this is just one thing that you can do. I mean, there's other ways you can invest in your crypto, but the most important thing, everybody, you hear people say, well, I'll never have money. And it's like, okay, your nails are done, your pedicure, you get your fingers, your toes, you got your hair all done. I don't color my hair. You know why? Because the $350 a month that I was spending on my hair, I didn't want to spend it on my hair anymore. I thought, well, this is the way God made me, and I'm just gonna embrace it. And
Okay, I can't say the same. I'm sorry, I can't say the same. My hair is totally white. I am gray.
Not everybody can rock it, and I don't even know if I really can rock it, but my husband doesn't mind. And whenever I go to the hairdresser, he's like, "Oh, but you've got like this pretty charcoal going." Yeah, that's gonna be white at some point.
Well,
But,
there's money
all
everywhere. There's money everywhere. For those of you that say that you cannot find a dollar.
Yeah, don't go buy that latte. Stop
Right,
going through
right.
Dunkin' Donuts. Don't do drive-throughs. If you really want it, you can make it happen. I didn't grow up with a lot of money. When I got, and then my husband and first husband, I built up a lot. And when I got divorced, I had to start, I was in my mid-50s, early 50s actually. And I had to start from ground zero. I had to start all over again. And thankfully, I was able to build my tax practice while I worked for other people, which I hated, but I did. I mean, I worked for some real doozies, I'll tell you that right now. People that you just wanted to scream. But I knew I had to pay those dues to get what I wanted, which is running my own firm, having it my own way, being able to talk the way I talk. I mean, I swear I'm like animated. I'm different. I'm not your typical accountant, but I'm very good at what I do. I love what I do. I tell my clients I love them when we get off our calls, and it's because I come from my heart. And I'm not about quantity, I'm about quality. And if I can build relationships with my clients so they can trust me, and then they can start, building up. First thing I say is, let's get rid of all your debt.
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
want you to put money into retirement until your freaking debt's gone. If your debt's gone, I'm fine. But I would rather take that extra money and just knock it down and get that debt out of your way. And I've got ways to help clients with that, and teach them the snowball method. And even if they have a bunch of credit cards, we'll throw them in the Christian credit counseling system. And we don't want to ruin your credit, so we want you to pay your debt. But let's get you into lower interest rates so you can, get a plan that you pay X amount every month, and then 2 years are gone. Yeah. And then you can start hitting it hard into your retirement.
That's what I tell them.
That's
yeah.
the kind of stuff that we do. Mm-hmm.
I taught. Yeah, I taught the two different ways that I teach the debt, what I call snowball effect, because I taught the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University. I have taught that way. I've taught the Marcola way of getting rid of the debt, but I'm always telling my clients, don't get into credit card debt. That is the worst debt, because what happens, Terri, is they get to a point where it's just overwhelming, and then they can't sleep at night, and then they're worried about how they can't pay their bills, and then they're worried about how they can't save, and they're worried about their children. I don't want anybody to have to worry over the almighty dollar and what they're giving the IRS. I don't want that. So for those of you listening out there, take heed. I mean, and then you have to do, look in the mirror, go into the bathroom and look in the mirror and really be honest with yourself and say, what is it that I have? Why is it that I feel I can't save or I can't buy a Bitcoin? What debt do I have? Where does my money go? Does anybody really know where their money goes at the end of the month? I mean, you talked about the nails and the hair, but that's stupid. I shouldn't say it. But that coffee shop, that's $7 a cup. For goodness sakes, how many times a week do you stop for that $7 a cup of coffee? Just think about it. And I won't mention the name of that because
I took coffee and alcohol out, so I don't spend a dime on that stuff. I don't do my hair, so I now have the ability to build my emergency fund. It's not a retirement. So I have an emergency fund, and it's about 4 to 6 months, depending on whether I need it for tires or whatever. But I have my emergency fund, 4 to 6 months worth of money to cover my bills if something happened. And that's a hard thing for people to do, but you just got to put it in there. And I try to like put it into a money market at Everett Jones or something like that, where I'm getting like 4%, between a little over 4%. And I hate leaving it there because I know I could make more doing something else, but I put it in there so if I need it, it's there. I also have credit cards. I use my credit cards because I get cash back on my credit cards, so I'll use it, but I have to pay it at the end of the month. And sometimes there's a month that maybe you can't pay the whole thing, but then I make it a focus to get that paid in the next month. And then I'll slow down in what I'm doing. Because, in our business, we're constantly going to conferences. We got hotel fees and airfare and eating and food and Ubers. And, that's like an extra several $1,000s on your budget that you don't normally plan for. But we're going because we're trying to equip ourselves with these things that we're talking about so that our clients can be able to benefit from it. And the way that we get paid back is our businesses grow. More and more people come and seek us to be able to help give the advice that we give. So we're investing in ourselves and our businesses so that we can help others. But when we come from a place of love and wanting to help people will be they'll be attracted to that. And I'm sure there's people here on this podcast that are looking for someone to just like stand beside them and on their side of the table and say, okay, I've messed everything up. I don't even know how to get started. I'm too far gone. It's like, no, let's just take baby steps. The first thing is let's get it all done on a trifecta. Let's see what you have. Where's all your debt? So now let's get into a plan. Plan number 1, let's try and work on the debt, the credit card debt. Plan number 2, where can we save money in a budget? Like, what do we have to pay? And then what are we spending on extra things? I'm not saying don't get your nails done, don't get your hair done. But for me, I needed that money to be able to rebuild at 50-something years old so that I could get where I want to be and be able to retire, And so I had to make different choices. Not everybody has to make those choices. I did. But I don't regret it because.
But it's never too late. It's never.
My nails and hair done.
Yeah, but it's never too late. It is never too late to start. And what I was talking to someone yesterday. I was telling the young lady. I said, one step at a time. You just don't skip steps. You don't jump steps. You take one step at a time. Because even if I was to put a little snail here on the floor, within a couple of hours, it's going to be all the way over there already. You're just going to move slowly. And sometimes you have to go slowly. You can't go faster than what your comprehension will allow you to. And there's nothing that anybody can tell me that they should feel embarrassed about. Because first of all, like yourself, I tell people, just tell me, between me and these 4 walls, it's never going to go anywhere. I pride myself in that. I've trained myself in that. So, and there are no mistakes. There are no mistakes.
We learn from the hard things. We don't learn from the easy things.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about taking certain things out and disciplining ourselves, Diva, to me, the most important thing I've learned in these last, 7, 8 years of my life that I never knew before, is I learned to love myself. I come first. So what makes me feel comfortable? Knowing that I have money to cover if I need to put tires in my car, or if an opportunity comes up and I want to go do something. Those are important for me. If somebody needs help with something, or you see someone that's standing there holding a sign, and it's like I see those people, and I'll go back home and I fill a bag up with baggies and garbage bags and water and like electrolytes. I mean, I'm one of those kind of people. Almond milk and some cereal or something, and some fruit, and I throw it in toilet paper, and I throw it in a bag, and I drive back over and I give it to them because I want to be able to have those extra things to be able to help other people. But when you love yourself, you're not doing all this external stuff to make yourself feel better about yourself. You start looking in the mirror, and you mentioned looking in the mirror. You start saying, I love Terri Peters. I love you, Terri. Thank you for working so hard to be able to do these things and gain this knowledge and help other people be able to be comfortable with what's going on, that they can sleep well at night because they've got someone that's helping, guiding, and directing them. And somebody that is there not judging them, that's standing beside them and trying to help them get through something. I love that. I don't need to do all this external stuff for me to feel good about myself. I eat really clean. I don't do stupid stuff. I don't waste money on drugs or alcohol or any of that kind of stuff. I literally spend time with sound bowls and walking the beach and getting grounded, because when I love myself, then I make the choices that are good for me. Like then I have that extra money to go put into my investment accounts. And then I can tell my clients, I just did a job or a thing on Monday my husband and I, we decided to do our first alternative investment outside of precious metals and the crypto. And we just did our first money lending deal with
Oh,
a guy
good.
up in Kansas.
Good.
And yeah, and it was
That's
like,
good.
okay, do we do this? Do we not? It was not a lot of money, but for us, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we did it. So I've got a promissory note. I'm going to be earning, 12% interest on that for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I didn't go to these conferences, if I didn't make these introductions with people, and if I didn't like learn about alternative investing and see what people are doing and how well they're growing with that, I wouldn't be able to tell my clients about it.
Right.
But now I'm doing it. I'm in it to win it. I want it to work, and I'm actually excited for the next deal. And so it took me, like a year to be able to set money aside to be able to do that. But finally, when I had enough, I was like, okay, I'm ready to do something with it.
It's okay. It's okay. And we all have, we all do different things. Yeah, we all do different things. I love the real estate, generational wealth through real estate. I really love that. It wouldn't faze me to find a good deal, that somebody wants a good deal and then they don't. I have there's a group that Women Who Invest. There are women that are out there that actually will lend the down payment for homes. I mean, it's just a wonderful thing to know that if you do your due diligence, you can put your dollars to use to work as opposed to giving it to the IRS. So, I mean, I know we start with Bitcoin, we start with Roth IRAs. I am so happy that you joined me.
Mindset.
But I am so happy that you're here. Maybe we can come back with another topic that maybe if folks out there are interested. I am having a conference in September in Kissimmee, Florida with Margie Dunkey Jacobs. She's going to do the mindset. I'm going to do the money. And it's stuff like this that we have to get out to people. We've got to get this information out. And people like you, Terri, make the world a better place because you're giving from the heart and you're really educating the public on where to put their money as opposed to giving it to the IRS. And I'm not, and I want a disclaimer here. I'm not saying that we're telling people to evade the IRS or avoid paying their taxes. We're just saying you don't have to pay any more than your fair share. Do you agree?
Exactly. Well, basically, we're using the tax code for the benefit of the taxpayer, and the IRS could never argue that. A lot of times people don't do that. They have tax people that are preparing for them, and they're like, well, you know what? We'll just make up this little business and throw these expenses, and hopefully you don't get audited. That is the worst thing you could do to somebody. The worst, because they're trusting you to protect them, and you're not protecting them. You're putting them in a very vulnerable position. So to me, it's like, okay, well, this year we have this going on, but you know what? If you either work with me all year long, and we'll keep looking at these things and prepare for it. But even at the end of the year, if you meet with me in November or December, I'm going to look at stuff and say, all right, I think you should do this or that. Here's a couple options or whatever. Let's try and make sure that we get your taxes paid in, or make sure that you've got a bunch of gains. Well, let's see what kind of investments that you have that will give losses, so we can net them out. But if nobody tells you that, you don't find out until the tax forms come in like March, and then you get your tax return done in April or like May, June, or July, and all of a sudden you're just hit with this huge tax bill. Nobody likes that. That's the worst call that I have to make to a client. The worst call. But you know what? My favorite call is when someone's working with me for a year, and I'm like, okay, remember last year you had to pay $25,000 to the IRS? Well, look at what's happened for 2024 now that you've been working with me, because I don't want you to get a refund. I want you to owe money, but I want it to be $1,000 or less. Don't give the IRS your money to hold on to. Oh, I want a big refund. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
If you work with us and start investing yourself, you get to have that growing the whole time instead of having the IRS have it, and then you get it at the end. It's so dollar cost averaging is where you buy all along the year, so you get the highs and the lows instead of a big chunk later. And the IRS sits on it. What are they doing with it?
They're fixing the roads.
Yeah, we're not doing the roads. That's for sure. Diva, I'm super glad you inspired me, because I just started my own podcast.
Good.
I'm waiting to get all the ducks in a row and all the pieces together, but I'm double D's, triple T. So I know it's a goofy name, but I'm that you'll start seeing that on YouTube pretty soon, and
Okay.
I'm just so excited because you inspired me to do this.
Oh, thank you.
It's easy to talk about this stuff, because we know it. Why can't we share it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Okay, guys, well, like I said, if any of this resonates, for those of you that are listening, that are looking at the replay, please share it. We do want the masses to learn about this stuff. Again, check out the Divas 2 Cents. Margie Dunkey Jacobs will be in Kissimmee, Florida at the Westgate Resort, September the 20th. Please register for that conference. You will never be the same. Okay, you will never be the same. There's no, I always say, stretch the rubber band, right? You and I stretch the rubber band, and they'll never be able to go back to where they were before. Thank you so much, Terri.
Having babies.
Thank you, Terri.
It stretches out. It never really goes back.
Thank you, Terri. God bless you. You take care of yourself, and that, my friend, is Divas 2 Cents.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. You're welcome. We'll put your contact information in the comments, but can you give them an email that they can reach you real quickly?
For me, you can do info, INFO, at Tax Time Ledgers, TAXTIMELEDGERS, info at Tax Time Ledgers.
Thank you, Terri. Take care.
You're welcome.
Very good to see.
That was fun.
That was